before I begin, I'm just going to say so before I begin, we're going to
the rocking chair with the TIA logo. Believe it or not, we're having a meeting in the room that they put the rocking chair in, and they broke up our meeting so they could get the rocking chair out and deliver it here. We're sitting there, we're going, what the hell is this thing? What is it?
Wait, before you say it. So the seat was sent.
What does it say?
It says Lisa Black, 32 years of exceptional service. So Lisa joined in 1987. I know you're all quicker with numbers than I am. So it's only 31 years. So it's like, oh, this is a mistake. Then I realized they actually wanted her to stay an extra year. We couldn't work that out. But anyway, please take a seat. I'm going to be nice, but maybe some other.
I'm just determined.
So.
She's rocking.
Now I do need a drink.
Where is it? Can we get a drink? What do you want? Anyway, in all seriousness, I'll be brief. Obviously, I think most of you know, probably better than I do, Lisa's had an amazing run here, 31 years, started in 1987, credit analyst, if I've got that right, became a portfolio manager. I had written some notes, to be completely honest with the group, for the board, because we brought Lisa to the boardroom on Tuesday to celebrate her as well. And some of you in this room helped, just make sure we had our facts right. But what struck me most was, obviously I know Lisa, I've been here almost 11 years, but I know Lisa leading the taxable fixed income team. I remember she was, interim CIO for the general account. But what struck me was, obviously she started as a credit analyst, but then became a portfolio manager. But I think what was most interesting to me, we all hear about the days of, we had two products here, TI Traditional and Pref Stock. And Lisa was really instrumental as a portfolio manager in not only adding Pref accounts, the bond market account, social choice account, but also the way I think about it, and as we think about our growth going forward, she was instrumental in launching mutual funds, which has helped us obviously continue to grow as an asset manager. So she's done all those things in her career, but I also, having had an opportunity obviously to work closely with her as all you have, you've done it the right way. You've exemplified, when I think about it, you've exemplified the cultures and the values of TIA, and we throw that around a lot, but I genuinely mean it when it comes to Lisa. I think you've done it the right way. And I thank you for that. I thank you for personally. I thank you for the counsel, the guidance, and the friendship. It's certainly very meaningful. And I also think, as far as I'm concerned, is the mark of a great leader is you've left a great team, or you're leaving a great team. And I'm confident, as you and I have talked a lot, I'm confident that this team will carry on your legacy, and do great things and continue to do. So, want to raise a glass?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Lisa!
And now I think I'm going to pass it to Ava, and then we're going to open it up for anyone else who wants to say a few words.
Enjoy the chat. Do I need this? Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Claire and I were charged with getting Lisa the perfect gift from all of us. And it started out really easy because we went to our favorite store. And we also quickly found stuff that we both like. But for Lisa, it took a little bit of time until we came across a collection called the Smile Collection. And we found this beautiful necklace, can't open it now, we'll pass it around later. But it's very elegant, very understated, and very bright. And we thought that would be perfect for Lisa. So we hope that, first of all, you would like it. And second of all, that when you wear this on the beach somewhere,
I'll think of my TA.
or in the boardroom somewhere, that it'll bring a big smile to your face when you think of all the long-time colleagues at TIAA, the old friends you have from TIAA. Sorry. And
Not that old.
we're not. And all the good service work you've done for this organization for the past 31 and a half years, and all the service you provided for the TIAA participants. And there's part 2 to the gift that Claire will.
You have to sit. So you don't have to open this right now, but given one of the reasons why you're leaving, we decided to make a donation to the one of the Alzheimer's Research Foundations, honoring your mom. And
A little
we
louder.
also used, sorry, and then we also used our TIAA match to double it. So, and there's a whole How they felt. You're very welcome. Now go on, now
I've got to get out of the chair. Up and down.
All right, so Brad or is Kevin? Your turn.
You want your seat of honor? You can stand. You can stand.
Thank you.
So Lisa started to say, we started on the same day, July 6, 1987.
Yes. And we can't remember the third person that started on that same day, but I don't know.
They're not here.
Washouts.
So I don't want to go into a time capsule and take you all back.
Is the mic on?
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
It has a red light on it. This work?
Speak loud.
So
I think you're good.
back in, I don't want to take a time capsule and take you all back to 1987, some of you weren't even born. But I do want to touch on one thing, and that is back then there was one king of late night TV, and that was David Letterman. And since then he's obviously gone his own way and he's not a thing anymore, but back then he owned late night. And one of his big things was a top 10 list. And everyone loved his top 10 different topics. Every night he had a different top 10 list. And it became such a thing that at events such as this, people would develop their own top 10 list. It became very routine. But that hasn't happened for some number of years. But as I thought about Lisa, and us being in the 1980s, the 1990s, the 2000s, I thought, you know what? It's time for the David Letterman top 10 list to make a return. So as I started to work on this, I wrote down 3 or 4 words, the first 3 or 4 words that made me think of Lisa, and they all ended in ship. And I thought, okay, I got a thing here. So it's going to be the top 10 ships about Lisa that we're going to miss. Number 1, number 10, start number 10. So for anyone who has ever written anything for Lisa's review, we're going to start with penmanship or grammar. I write fine, most of us write fine, but I'd like to see anyone raise their hand who ever submitted something to Lisa and got it back without any red ink on it. There's no dangling participles or modifiers that get by Lisa. So I thought it was always great. It always just tightened up everything we did. But being who she is, she was always apologetic. She's like, I'm sorry, but I found a couple of things. No, this is excellent, thank you. So actually, people often send their email when they depart to keep in touch. I'd like to be able to send you drafts. Made for hire. If I can get that to compliance, we're going to keep doing that. Number 9, flagship. One of the things that you've excelled at and represented all of us so well at is something that you probably wouldn't think of on your own if you were to make a list. because you're so modest, but it's the way you presented ourselves externally. I'm thinking about on television. You did it all the time. And it's something that you didn't seek out, but you always stepped up to the plate, and you always hit a home run. And you were always very modest about it, but I'd watch it and I'd be like, damn, she killed it again. So on behalf of everyone, thank you for representing us so well to the broader world. Number 8. Oh, actually number 8 was showmanship. That was the TV. Number 9 was flagship. I'm going to blame Brad because he covered a lot of my points. So number 9, flagship, was so when we started in '87, we did have 2 funds, as Brad mentioned. Put your money in fixed income TIA, put your money in equities CREF, and that was it. And in 1987, 1988, I was toiling away doing private placements. And Lisa was on the other side of what we call public markets now, but of the securities division that we called ourselves. And I saw this woman excelling, and she was only 2 years out of school, and she was charged with launching our new bond market account, and then several funds after that. So Lisa, more than anyone else, gets credit for turning us from a firm that had 2 funds that weren't marked to market to what we are today, which is a broad variety of supermarket funds. So
With a lot with John Serra.
well, that gets Number 7, apprenticeship. So I think a lot of us worked under you and learned different things from you in different ways. For me, that began back when you were a manager of the Bond Plus Fund. And we would get together every week or 2 weeks with John. The 3 of us would get together and talk about your Bond Plus Fund and how you should be positioned and what you wanted to do. And that was my beginning exposure to the broader bond universe. And to this day, we've always treasured those times together. Thank you. Number 6, sportsmanship. We can take that a lot of different ways. You're a tremendous athlete, and you're a good sportsman on and off the field. But we used to also have an annual event with Wall Street where we took brokers out and played golf sometimes. And we're not all great golf players at TIA. A lot of us have 36 handicaps. And it's hard to have an outing with Wall Street. There are a lot of good golfers if you're all 36 handicaps. So thank you for representing us on the golf course.
That game's gone to hell in a handbasket, but I hope that changes.
Number 4, receivership. So those of you who don't know me, I manage high yield with a great team. Doesn't matter, you have companies that go into bankruptcy periodically. And when that happens, or when it's about to happen, you have to let people know what's going on. And so I would knock on Lisa's door, and she'd always take it in stride, and we'd work through the situations. And I want to thank you for your support in the tough times. Support's easy in the good times, but they aren't always good times. Thank you for your support in the bad times. I'll never forget, I had gone into Lisa's office to share with her something that happened that wasn't good. Don't remember which one it was. And then shortly thereafter, I needed to go back to Lisa's office to give her some other news, which was not particularly material in any way. But I knocked on her door, and having already gotten bad news from me, she looked up and sighed, and she goes, "What is it now?" And I'm like, shit, this is my boss who's not happy. But I knew it would be okay because the person you are. Number 3, leadership. That was one of the first words I wrote down, and it means so much, and it can be taken different ways. As I thought about what I wanted to share with everyone about your leadership, is how you exemplified that through our culture. You inherited a strong culture. Ed is here. Michael came before that. Our group has always had a great culture, but cultures change. And you had the power, authority, sway. You could have done anything you wanted to our culture. And you maintained a very strong culture. And I think about it in the context, we have our company values, and I looked at those, and 6 of them, I looked at every one, I'm like, yep, they all apply. So as I look at those, the ones that I just wanted to just kind of give higher profile to, working as one team, respecting each other, and superior performance. You have overseen a group that has a lot of high-performing funds consistently over time. And it's a tribute to your leadership that that's happening. Number 2, stewardship. Again, with your responsibilities, a lot to talk about there. Some of you may not know, we had a chairman of TIA back in the 80s, William Greeno, who wrote a book, It's My Retirement Money, Take Good Care of It. And I wish he was here today, because I think he'd give you a big hug. And all the millions of participants and investors for your oversight of $250 million or more. And everyone is having a happier retirement because of your leadership for those assets. Last one, and the most important one, friendship. You're a phenomenal person. We were talking earlier, people think so much of you and the type of person you are. We're in an industry that has a lot of assholes in it. It is what it is. And you're the most likable person any of us know, and we love working with you. And this is why you have all these people here to send you off. We all wish you the best. And can we have a toast for Lisa?
I'm not shy. I just wanted to make sure I got this. Can you all hear me? So,
Either you might as well sit down for this one.
can we get Lisa a drink? All right, I won't go through all of them. I knew that if I didn't go first, several of them would be spoken for. So, let me first of all, I want you to all look around the room, okay? This is not a male-dominated room, okay? There are an awful lot of women that work in fixed income at Nubian Asset Management, which is what we're calling ourselves now, but TIA, Global Asset Management, the whole thing is named, okay? I remember in 1990 or 1991, a woman who no longer works with us, making the case to me that Lisa was the role model. And if you looked around, probably the pyramid going from junior analyst to senior analyst was very much a lot of women at this level, some women at this level, one or two, and nobody. Okay, you're looking at the woman who broke it. Okay, and before I get into the other 24 points, I want to say that globally, that's probably the most significant thing of all, because there are other people that could have done some of the things that Lisa had done, but she was a trailblazer. And I know when you're young, you may not understand that quite as much, but I can't think of a senior woman in the company other than like a managerial at the accounting level. And you have her to thank. So before I, abuse her, you owe your career to her. So, okay, the highlights. Well, so when Lisa was hired, let me tell you first of all, management could not believe that she accepted our offer to come here, because everyone thought that she had better offers away. And for months, she probably accepted in February and March. We heard about the Olympic rower who was coming and was going to revolutionize, and like the legend of Lisa had grown so much that we were all a little intimidated. And then we met her, and then she wasn't allowed in the trading room for about 6, 7, 8 months. And we weren't quite sure why, but it only added to the aura. But eventually we got to meet her, and she was fairly down to earth. And I had the luck of being paired with her when we started our total return. And we were partners. I mean, we worked for Janus, which kind of meant that we did an awful lot of the work, and there was no one. We learned it ourselves. It was a great time. It was a great place to do it because you know, for a long time, I'll give you an idea. The funds were supposed to go live on April 1st, 1989. Instead, they went live 11 months later. So we had a lot of time to practice. So we did paper trades in the portfolio. I mean, Bill Gross would have been envious of the returns that Lisa and I had. Somehow that just did not impress. No, but somehow we just didn't fly through the ranks with them. And what that meant was that we had a lot of time to meet brokers and do research. And I know that there's two particular memories that Lisa's going to have of that period before the fund started. The first was the lunch at Chin Chin's. Yeah, which
We're not gonna talk about that.
No, we're not going to talk about it. The Vegas rule is in effect here. And the other one is the birthday party at Nanny's. Yeah, so we had some of the fun. Along the way, and by the way, that wasn't us. Along the way, I got promoted on the same day to officer. Now, in the old teachers, officer translated to office. Not now, where I have less space than a prisoner at Wallaway State Prison, thanks to Ed Grzybowski. But, so anyway, for about 6 months, we go along, and there's no office available. And finally, John Dunleavy resigns. And Lisa and I are told we have to decide who gets the office. So the sportsman that she is, she agreed with my idea. We were going to flip a coin. Best of 7. Lisa wins 4-0. And then just the good sport that she is, she's like, well, let's roll 3 more because maybe you'll feel a little. She wins 7-0. That's been my whole career.
Next time, don't use a coin.
Thank you, Joe. Where were you when I needed you? So, all right, we won't talk about Chrysler Financial. Oh, this is the classic Lisa story. No. Lisa buys a co-op.
No, it's not.
Condo. Okay. So my period was a little too high. She asked it. It was a condo on 39th and 2nd Avenue. Did I get that right?
37.
Okay, and things are going along great, and finally she starts coming to work, and she is a mess. She's not sleeping. And like, look, I know the real estate market's down a little bit, but what's the? And it's so bad. Lisa needs her sleep. I'm used to not sleeping. Lisa needs her sleep. This goes on for months. She finally gets the nerve. She goes and she knocks on the door. Let me describe the person who lives next door. The apartment next door. He's young. He's rich. He's famous. He's an athlete at the top of his field. He has the access to the best clubs in Manhattan, all the parties, whatever he has primary access to. And the parties aren't enough. He rolls in sound equipment, kind of like the Rolling Stones, into that apartment, and they're playing it all night long. She walks over, finally she's had enough, knocks on the door and says, "Hi, I'm Lisa Black. I live next door. You're Mike Tyson." She walks back and she joins the board because you have to have leases, and he didn't have a lease. And she started sleeping a little after that. We could talk about the yield hog. There was a scouting report. First base. Okay, good field, can hit, can catch, can throw, can't run, competitive as hell, but she'll never knock you down in a play-at-home plate. And that's, in a broader scheme, kind of who Lisa has been over these years. I think I'll leave the memo story out. So in 1996, my book's not carrying? In 1996, Lisa breaks the glass ceiling. Marty Leibowitz breaks the chain of command, as we kind of had, and named her the head of the Kraft Bond Group. And I guess there were only 2 funds at the time, but it was kind of startling inside the organization. And the point that I made earlier about her breaking the glass ceilings, that was huge, huge point, huge thing noticed around the firm. And again, as I've noted, huge to the idea that glass ceiling, it's probably still there, it's probably still an issue, but she took a 2x4 and slammed through it for you. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you a couple of things, Elisa, since Kevin kind of chewed up a lot of those things. Competitive tennis player, sailor, golfer. Someone's going to review it. Okay, so I only have two more. Lisa's generosity is not well known. If you go to the University of Michigan Ross School of Business and look at the donors, the first name on the Ross School of Business is Stephen Ross. It's a name most of us would probably recognize. Now the rest of the list is alphabetical, but the second name is Elizabeth Davenport Black. So, and I happen to know she has worked with local arts organizations, theaters, and an occasional filmmaker or two that she probably won't do again, but has always been willing to support people that have had aspirations. And that's an important point of what you might not known about Lisa. So Kevin talked about her real aspirations as a frustrated copywriter. I'll leave that alone. Two stories. One that tells a lot about Lisa. The night that we were doing the $1 billion transfer out of the bond fund to on the 529 plan to Vanguard, and we were changing systems like once a week. And in the systems change, somehow we kind of got the original phase, current phase problem with mortgages not figured out. And we were short about $300 million on the transfer as we had wrote the tickets to Vanguard that night. And I remember being there till 4 o'clock in the morning with Lisa and Bridget Martin, two people that I would go into any foxhole with to fight a war with, and we got it right. But that sort of dedication, you were probably involved too, yeah. That was Lisa. And finally, I wanted to say one other point, and then I'll mercifully let you go. There's a legend in Greek mythology. It's a philosopher called Diogenes. I probably didn't get that pronunciation right. He walks the earth today looking for an honest person. He's stuck walking the earth looking for the honest person. But I'm going to tell you, if you ever met Lisa Black, his walk would be over. Still frame it. You broke the ceiling too. Come on. It's got to get you back now.
John, I'll start by you have a few days for you. We'll skip that. Lisa, first of all, to start by giving you an email, sending you an email from JS. It's his tribute. You'll need about 3 hours. I actually listened to it. It's quite sweet. I'm sure you'll get it. But it is quite long. But I told him don't edit it because it's important for people to understand how good Lisa is as a manager. She had both John and Jayesh. Most of us are only burdened with one, but not Lisa. And the best part was, she came out smiling every day. Something else, it's already been mentioned, but Lisa, we all know, does like to edit people's emails. So I'd send her an email, I'd get it back edited. But one time I sent her one, and it was forwarded. And she didn't realize it was forwarded by Marty Leibowitz, so she edited it and sent it back to me. And I said, Lisa, I went down to her office and I said, Lisa, excuse me, but it wasn't me, it was Marty. She said, well, his ground was off. So, one thing you can always count on with Lisa is honesty. But some other things about Lisa. We all know this woman has lots of courage. I met Lisa in 1987. Unlike Kevin and Lisa, who came in and by the rule of 70, whatever the heck it is, I come 2 days later, and what do you think? I got screwed. Okay, enough about me. So in any case, what happens there is she turns around, I meet her, and we had a very elegant system in fixed income. Short-term people would buy debt, and the credits approved by, in short term, are approved by the analysts. Lisa was one of those analysts. I used to approve them also. And the people who ran the short-term desk got paid by the yield that they earned. So they always find the crappiest credits they could that they want approval on, because that way they can make more money for the company and for themselves. So my first meeting with Lisa was down in the cafeteria where I said, "You're insane. You're going to approve Westinghouse Credit." Do you remember this? Westinghouse Credit had announced that they might have to file for bankruptcy. Oh, minor detail. But Lisa, what they said is they were having a liquidity problem. They hoped that they could work it out, but theoretically, they may wind up in bankruptcy. So Lisa looks at Westinghouse Credit, and she approves it. Now, that's... It was, well, you did Westinghouse also. It might have been Chrysler too, but it doesn't matter, but you approved the name. And I said to you, "Why did you do that?" And you said, "Because it's the right thing to do." And I was like, "Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure it is, but you're not going to be working here next week." But the reality is, it was a life lesson for me, because she helped me on the road of doing the right thing. So, she was a great mentor, because here I am working with this person who fixes my memos, and also, says you got to do the right thing. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So, move on with life. She talked about, it's been mentioned that she worked in the bond account, the bond fund. What wasn't mentioned was a woman's name, Mazaji. She doesn't work here. I'm not an employee of the company. This woman was insane. She was a psychotic. That was her manager. No matter who you work for, you don't have a psychotic manager like this. You used to have the offices along the windows that I took away from everyone, remember? Okay, so we're going to have locks on the doors. So Mazaji would come out, and John and Lisa did the group, and John worked with Lisa, and she would explain to them, in her own words, what she wanted done. She'd go back into her office, and she would stack her furniture against the door so you couldn't come in. I'm not making this up, folks. This is true. And they would have to try to interpret what she had actually said to them. And well, she didn't even understand what they wrote. But the reality was that Lisa, with the assistance of John and others, but Lisa led the group to build the bond fund to a great success, and it was a great success. And she went on to build fixed income. As you guys know, you work for many of you. She's a great leader. You're lucky to have her, and we're lucky to have her as a friend. So, Lisa, I wish you the best in your retirement. I hope, if I send you an email asking if you come to the West Coast of Florida, it's just going to say, "Are you coming to the West Coast of Florida?" Please don't edit it, just answer it. With that, one more item. This is hysterical. By the way, you'll like this. This is hysterical only because, Lisa, you remember that? Okay, yeah, you do. Okay, so that's how we used to do mortgages. Okay, it's a Fannie Mae book. Okay, what it is it's so you'd open it up and it would tell you what the price to the yield, the prepays, and all that stuff. Okay, so what most people don't know. Now, Bloomberg was, you go on Bloomberg and it would say bond. Ginnie Mae, Fannie Mae, not available. But the last item is Lisa Black is really good at fixed income, as you all know. I've mentioned she has a lot of courage. But what you don't know is she made a lot of good calls too, even in her earlier years. So in the earlier years, unfortunately, she worked with me, and she reported to me. So we'd be out there buying stuff, and I'd say, "Go buy," and she'd buy, and we made money, and I am so smart. Then one day, we were losing money, and I was like, "We got to come up with a new plan." So I said, "Lisa, what's the new plan?" She says, we are not going to buy. And it worked. It really worked. As a result, we made money.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Ed. Some of those memories I'm not sure I remember, but. And I haven't had anything to drink. Wow, this is really nice. So I'm going to hold this maybe a little bit further away. I joined TIA 31. I only had one other offer, by the way, from a bank that was bought a couple of years later. What? No. But their offer was $1,000 more, and I thought about it, and then when they told me I was going to have to spend the next 18 months in a bank training program, I said, no thank you, I'd like to go where I can hit the ground running, or at least attempt to. So, but as many of you know, I have a strong love for my home state of Michigan, so 5 years into this stint, and my parents having no idea what TIA Cruff was all about, I'll talk about this in a minute, I actually talked to the head of the trust department at National Bank of Detroit. I was home on vacation, and my parents happened to know him, so I spent about half an hour. At the time I was working for Ed, so this was 1992, maybe 1993. And at the time, we were investing about $200 million a month in agency CMOs. And NBD was managing a $250 million agency CMO portfolio. Actually passed through. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, if you want to leave an organization where we're growing and managing lots of money, you can be a relatively big fish in a big, huge pond, or a minnow in an ocean. So, in any event, it's been such a wonderful ride. As I think back on my career, I have really lots of fond memories. There were occasional situations and things where it wasn't the most wonderful time, and the financial crisis certainly was one of those, and I have to thank Ed, Scott, Bill was after that, and Brad was after that, but really for being there and supporting me and our team when things didn't go well. I have other mentors and sponsors, and I think of all of you in that vein. Carol Deckbar, Nancy Heller, even Beth English, who was my first boss. And there was such support and not second guessing. I know one thing Ed said to all of us was, well, A, don't do something that's going to put you or the firm on the front of the Wall Street Journal in a negative light. But more importantly, we're going to make mistakes from time to time. And if you did the right thing in terms of doing your analysis and it didn't work out, that's okay. Let's talk about it, don't hide anything, because we are in the business of taking risks on behalf of our participants. And we're going to make better decisions if we take risks and learn from the mistakes. And I know I certainly learned from my mistakes, and one of them was Lowen. Lowen Corp was a funeral home operator, and we had 1.5% in 18-month bonds in the bond market account. And those bonds went from par to 50. And Ed stood up and said, I knew all about this. I own it along with Lisa and the team. They're going to get to give their bonuses, which we were, appropriately so. But you didn't walk away. And so I just have to thank all of my as I said, my sponsors, my mentors, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. I also want to thank those of you that are part of the overall team, maybe not in the front office, but support what we do in the front office, be it human resources, technology, operations, law and compliance, I'm sure I'm missing some, marketing, distribution. It really is a team effort. This is not about just the front office doing their thing. It couldn't be done without the assistance of a lot of other people that oftentimes don't get the recognition they deserve. So I want to thank those of you that are here. I also want to introduce my sister Pam. Pam lives in Vero Beach, Florida, which is where I'm going to be moving to or establishing residency, and she surprised me by coming up today. I had no idea she was going to be here, so Claire and Liz, I think, have a little bit to do with that. So thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge a very good friend of mine, Meryl Peterson, who's in the back of the room. Meryl and I had known each other for 45 years. She flew in from Michigan yesterday. We were tennis partners. We won the Michigan State Doubles Championship our high school year. She can still play tennis. I cannot. But really appreciate you coming, both of you coming from far away and Lafayette from I guess Kansas, not from Florida. So in any event, so my game plan is, as I think many of you know, is establish residency down in Florida, spend at least 6 months and a day there, but come back here in the summer, be a winter bird, and really enjoy both lives, if you will, both with my family down in Vero Beach and my family, my very close friends here in New York. So I'm sure I could spend. Thank you for your words, John. I mean, John and I really feel like we, as you said, grew up in this business, and it really means a lot to me for you to say what you did, because we truly did learn from each other how to run a bond fund, because I certainly didn't have a clue. You had a little more of a clue because you came from a quant risk management background, and that was instilled in us, or you instilled it in me from the get-go, and I think those small shoots, if you will, permeated the whole process from the get-go and made this a better team overall for that. And so I do thank you very much for your friendship and counsel and all those good things. So I could spend the next half hour talking about all the people that have touched my life. It's really been a great honor. As I said, I couldn't paint this career any differently. I really just have had a great time. I also finally want to give a shout out to Claire, who I don't know where she is. Claire, about 4.5 years ago, made my day, week, month, year when she agreed to come back to what was still called TI Krupp at that time. She's been a fabulous partner, business manager of taxable fixed income, a great friend. She's saved me from sleeping in the Charlotte airport when I was in one of those chairs in the Charlotte airport. I said, I can sleep here, no big deal. And she said, no. But you've just been fabulous, and I really, what's going to be the hardest part of this is leaving people that you respect, you work with and work for, and that's, I know it's going to hit me when I walk out of those turnstiles in a couple weeks, but I'll be back to visit, and just want to thank you all for coming tonight and spending your time with me and the rest of the team, so thank you.